welcome on our show one of the most influential economic thinkers in India, an RSS ideologue, a chartered accountant, but for me someone who is one of the country's sharpest legal minds also. I welcome on the show Mr. S. Gurumurthy. Mr. Gurumurthy, thank you for being on the Legal Eagle today. And even as we want to talk about your journey as someone who's helped in a lot of legal cases and your legal prowess, I want to begin, sir, by talking about you as a journalist. I remember on March 13th, 1987, how the Rajiv Gandhi government arrested you, and you have always been the original crusader of the press. You were arrested at a time when there was no social media, no TV, and yet you proved the pen is mightier than the sword. Today, when you see what's happening in governments, like in the Mahaghari government in Maharashtra, where a Republic TV reporter is thrown into jail for 4 days, how do you contrast this from 1987 to 2020? What has changed when it comes to journalists, sir?
Actually, there are two distinct differences between journalism and also the ecosystem now as compared to 1987. In 1987, the Rajiv Gandhi government commanded a majority of 414 out of 542 in parliament, unchallenged in the parliament and outside. It was at that time that the Indian Express took on the issue of corruption against a person regarded as the cleanest in Indian polity. So, when they arrested me on a forged letter, everybody believed the government, and till the letter was proved to be a forgery. It happened within 4, 5, 6 days. Till then, nobody would even come to my house. My relatives kept off, and newspapers published headlines, CIA agent has been arrested. This was the kind of campaign. Of course, the whole thing, once the truth came out, it all changed. But it took a lot of time for the truth to come out, and the pain was very intense. But one thing was very distinct and different. The entire media stood with me. Irrespective of the differences as to how to approach the government. In fact, some media which had positive view about Rajiv Gandhi also, they condemned this arrest. And many newspapers went to the extent of saying that the government should apologize for having harassed a journalist. But now what I find is that the governments are the same. Particularly the Congress governments have never been comfortable with a free media. I will start with Pandit Nehru. You know, Article 19(1) had no limitation of Article 19(2) as to the limits of free expression. It was completely free. In 1951, the Constitution was amended to put restrictions on the media freedom. You know, whether the word reasonable should be there in Article 19(2) or not, whether the restriction should be accepted as the Parliament enacts, or whether the restriction should be considered as reasonable or not by the judiciary, was a matter which was discussed. And Pandit Nehru took a position, the word reasonable should not be there, because once the word reasonable is there, the judiciary will come into being and test whether the reasonable restrictions are in place or not. So you can understand, even a person who was associated with the very idea of democracy in post-Indian polity was not comfortable with the judiciary intervening between the government and the media.
Yes.
And if you look at all the media cases, 1962 Sakal case, 1973 Bennett Coleman case, 1982 Indian Express building demolition case, 1983 the customs duty case, all the cases of restriction on media freedom which the Supreme Court had to intermediate were all because of the restrictions put by the Congress. I am not talking about the emergency, which was open dictatorship. And in that period, the Indian Express carried on a massive campaign against emergency at the cost of almost the last naya paisa they had, and it was virtually to close down if the Janata Party had not won. That was the extent of price that the media had to pay for fighting for democracy. But subsequently also, when Rajiv Gandhi came to power with all his popularity, he tried to amend the defamation law to make it impossible for the newspapers to report. So they have never been comfortable. Congress governments have never been comfortable with a free media. One more point I will make. None of the opposition parties, whenever they ruled in 1998 to 2004 or from 2014 till now, there has been any complaint by the media to the Supreme Court that their freedom is being suppressed on this ground, financially or otherwise. So, my view is the Congress governments, wherever they are, have never been comfortable with a free media because they always want a free run for themselves. And the more the party became family oriented, then nothing should be written against the family, nothing should be said against the family. The whole party has come to defend the family. That is one of the allegations of the 23 leaders. So, Maharashtra government, I feel, though the Shiv Sena is in the front, the drive from the back, according to me, is the Congress. Because the Congress is entrenched in centers of influence, the most important of which is the Bollywood. So, my feeling is that it is not a fight between Maharashtra government and Republic. It is actually a fight between well entrenched forces of disruption, social, cultural, political, national disruption, against which a situation has come where the Republic and some other media are leading the charge. I am very happy about it, but whenever a government has taken extreme step against the media, whichever media it is, whichever government it is, it has had to pay a price. And Maharashtra government will pay a price. It is already paying a price. It will definitely pay a price. You see, a person, a senior politician like Sharad Pawar making a statement, and a person who actually put together this coalition, for him to say this, it means the issue is really serious.
Yes. Mr. Gurumurthy, as eloquent as ever, you've hit the nail on the head, sir, when you say that the Maharashtra government is going to pay a price. I also want to go back to something, how you initially started off. You wanted to go to law school, but you ended up being one of the most famous chartered accountants, one of the most successful chartered accountants. I remember as in one of your legal cases, one of the legal cases, Swadeshi Polytech, how your legal prowess was seen along with legal minds such as K.K. Venugopal, the present Attorney General, Anil Diwan, Ryan Kranjwala, Arun Jaitley. You won that case along with them. Now when it comes to the Indian judiciary, your commitment to India has always been very endearing, and it's been something which you stand very strongly by. You've always said in India there is something called Tarka Sastra's philosophy of debates that has to be followed. But when you talk about the Maharashtra government, the Congress party, immediately if Sonia Gandhi is called Antonio Maino, if we question the fact that 140 days have gone by in the Palghar lynching and the Congress has not spoken out, there are immediate cases that are filed against us, and you've been through it at that time when there was no social media. So how do you look at this systematic attempt that the Mahaghadi government is also doing to muzzle free press?
You see that the media is being muzzled today, that the Republic is under attack, is now widely known from the very minute the attack started. Previously, that was not the case. The media that was attacked had to first establish its case and first prove it is genuine. But today that is not the case. In fact, the social media as well as the more openness of the society, which has also become a kind of a licentious thing in certain quarters, anti-nationals make use of it. But the situation is much better now for the media to fight, and Maharashtra government has been so thoroughly exposed, whether it is in Palghar case, in which it was blackened completely, or in the Sushant Singh's case and subsequent revelations which have come out. I don't think a government can be under greater stress than the Maharashtra government today, because it is not a government, it is a convenient partnership of three highly self-interested groups which wanted to grab power without a mandate. And so Shiv Sena became a very convenient victim because of its ambitions. And it is no more the Shiv Sena of Bal Thackeray. And so this man is now a pawn in the hands of very powerful forces, working behind the three players, three partners. And my feeling is, if it goes like this, I see a risk for this government, because the more the government becomes unpopular, its capacity to fight a battle of this kind gets so badly eroded. You know, Rajiv Gandhi with 414 members in parliament, in 6 months he lost the capacity to fight, despite the fact that he commanded such a brute majority in parliament. And it is one party, one leader. Here there are three distinct self-interested groups. In fact, they came together and did not come together, and then again came together. And so I think this battle may ultimately cost the very government which they have put together. My feeling is, it is not going to stop at only a legal battle or a battle against a republic. I see a more serious situation ahead.
Very interesting. Yes, sir. I also wanted to draw attention to something, Mr. Gurumurthy, you'd once written, and as investigation journalists, it made a deep impact on me. You'd written that truth revealed itself, though often belatedly. This suits the politician in power. The interregnum is a period in manipulation. The alibis and the half-truth rule. Finally, unless someone is alert, truth is confined to the archives. You've been at the forefront of the exposes that happened in the Chidambaram case, in the INX media case. Whether it's been the Bofors case, where you had also taken on you took on Fairfax, you went to New York, whether it is the Quattrochi angle that you probed, whether it's the Chidambaram angle, whether it's Dayanidhi Maran, where your advocate Ravi Sharma was there and you were trying to see the illegal phone lines that had been laid at that time. The question is, this has been happening very systematically by certain governments. Had at that time Rajiv Gandhi or the Gandhis ever tried to approach you to reach a settlement or a compromise? Was a call ever made to you?
See, I will be breaching the confidence of people. There were definitely efforts in that, we had to carry on the campaign for 3 long years, which has never happened in the history of any country. That an issue of corruption, the Bofors, Fairfax, the HDW issues, it could prolong for 3 years and finally mature as an election campaign and dissolve a government which had the greatest majority since the dawn of independence. Sometimes what starts off as a battle between media and the government ultimately becomes such a larger battle, in which the most powerful party is also consumed. So anyone with some idea about politics, some idea about sociology, some idea about political strategies will avoid confrontation with a media which is committed to certain values. You can buy out certain medias, but you cannot buy out all the medias. And so my feeling is that if Republic stands to its ground, which I believe it is doing consistently, whatever may be the present situation, ultimately my feeling is this is going to have a huge political cost and consequence for the Maharashtra government and for even the Congress all over the country, because the forces that are working behind to thwart this investigation or to obfuscate the facts are very powerful forces entrenched, in which there is lot of anti-national thinking coming.
Yes. In fact, I also want to, Mr. Gurumurthy, draw your attention to what's been happening in the Maharashtra government. There is clear panic when we see the Commissioner of Police, Parambir Singh, having just met Sharad Pawar, which clearly proves that Sharad Pawar has taken over the happenings in the Mumbai police and the Maharashtra government. Whether we see the actor Kangana Ranaut, she's being openly told dekh lenge by Maha government. Then her property is demolished by the BMC. It's actually the High Court that intervenes and says this is malified action. At such a time, shouldn't the Maha government take a proper stand for understanding what the citizens of the country need right now, that is respect and freedom of movement anywhere they want?
You see, it is probably the most foolish act any government could have done, that at this point in time they send some BMC forces to demolish or send notice to demolish a building. This is precisely what the Congress did in 1980. The moment they came to power, on a Sunday, they called for the files and passed orders for the demolition of the Indian Express building on the same ground that there was some excess construction. This produced the most powerful argument against a government which was sworn in just 3 months back. So what I am saying is, this kind of mad actions out of uncontrolled anger and hate, this is devoid of wisdom and devoid of judgment. And so when this kind of forces take over, it is only some honest officials, some good advisors who can thwart. I don't think Maharashtra government has left place for anyone, and that is why counsel has come from outside in this case in the form of Sharad Pawar. Of course, he is a politician with a great strategic mind, and sometimes many people even call him diabolical. But he knows what statement to make at what point to distance himself from the kind of foolish activity that the government has got into. But I still believe judiciary in this country will not allow such nonsense. So actually, what the Maharashtra government has done, I don't know much about Kangana. In fact, I don't know very much about the cine field. But they have made her a larger than life phenomenon and has enlarged her role so much today. In fact, she has grown into a very powerful personality, for which she must ultimately thank the Maharashtra government. Just as I would thank the people who turned me into a hero and a huge crusader at that time. If such action had not been taken against me, nothing would have happened. But when you react mindlessly, just as the government is doing now, just as the Indira Gandhi government did in 1980, just as the Rajiv Gandhi government did in 1987, this will be a boon to people who stand by truth.
I also want to, Mr. Gurumurthy, ask you on the left liberal cabal that continues talking about contempt cases. The duplicity is seen when Prashant Bhushan contempt case is taken up by these people in the most, in the most emotional manner. What would you say, and how do you think this motivated lobby should be prevented from misusing the law?
You see, this lobby is entrenched in the Lutyens circles. And for a considerable time, the Supreme Court has been very generous towards these people. And this happened much earlier, 15 years back, that Prashant Bhushan abused the judiciary as corrupt, the judges as corrupt. And Mr. Ram Jetpalani bailed him out by making him tender an apology.
How do you view a case in which not only the Bollywood nexus with drugs is being unearthed, but even when Republic TV is reporting it, trying to put forward facts, we are thrown into prison by the Maharashtra government?
See, so far as the silence of Bollywood is concerned, it is so eloquent that the Bollywood today constructively stands charged of some wrong thing they have done, individually or collectively. So the high ground, the popular ground which Bollywood occupied, has been seriously questioned by the outcome of the Republic investigation into Sushant Singh Rajput's case. There is absolutely no doubt. Whether it is a suicide or murder, or there is a contrived suicide or engineered suicide, or it is a normal suicide, these are all matters to be investigated. But for the Maharashtra government to come out with a declaration within 48 hours of the death that it is suicide is something which is questionable, and that's how the whole thing started, and many angles have come now. But I feel that when Anuj comes back, he will not come back as a reporter, he will come out as a hero, because the foolish government is turning him into a hero. And if I were Anuj, of course I will undergo all these pains, but when I come out, when Anuj comes out, they are producing a hero. Actually, the way the Maharashtra government is moving, it is turning Republic into a bigger and bigger crusading brand. So there is a huge political cost they are incurring, but what they are trying to do is, will you buckle? If you don't buckle, I think the government is going to pay a huge political cost. I don't see from what the Republic is doing, it is going to buckle.
Mr. Gurumurthy, as I end this Legal Eagles episode, I want to thank you for being with us. I want to say I don't think you're just one of the most influential economic thinkers, but after this interview, I would say you're one of the most influential thinkers in India. You answered each question, carefully answering each point and every question I made, and I want to thank you for this interview. I want to thank you for being the original crusader, because you give us inspiration that the freedom of press cannot be muzzled however dictatorial a government is. I thank you very much for being on the
Thank you,
this time
Thank
with
you.
us. Viewers, we'll join you next week. Thank you for watching.